Once upon a time, there lived a man who made his living as a stonecutter. He goes every day to the mountain where he chips away until he has cut a large slab of rock. Over the years, he had grown very skilled and knowledgeable about this trade. People respected him for his hard work, skill, reliability, and diligence. He lived in a wooden hut at the bottom of the mountain. For many years, he worked hard at his trade, which provided all his meager needs. He was happy and satisfied and asked for nothing else in life. The folks who lived around the mountain believed that a spirit lived in it and sometimes would appear before people who were deserving. Sometimes they would just hear its voice and it would grant them wishes. The spirit was benevolent and wise and only appeared to a person who was ready to benefit from its magic. Although the stonecutter had heard of the spirit, he had neither seen it or heard it talk, so he did not believe it existed. One day, a very rich local merchant sent one of his servants to see the stonecutter with a special commission for him to cut a very expensive gravestone from the mountain and deliver it to the merchant's house. So the stonecutter set off to the mountain to cut the gravestone for the rich merchant. When he had finished cutting the gravestone from the rock face, he put it on his cart and wheeled it down to the town where the merchant lived. When he reached the merchant's house and saw how big and beautiful it was, he was astounded. He had never seen anything so magnificent in his life. He went up to the door and rang a silver bell, and his servant hastened to the door to let him in and took him to his master. The stonecutter looked around at all the fine furniture, works of art, and the expensive tapestries on the wall. The rich merchant, dressed in fine silk robes, welcomed him and paid for his work as had been agreed. The stonecutter reluctantly left and went back to his own humble home. After the visit to the rich merchant's home, the stonecutter began to change within himself. One day, when he was feeling very tired and troubled from his daily exertions, he cried out in anguish, "Oh, I wish I lived in a big house with servants and fine furniture with works of art and a great bed with feather mattress and silk curtains where I could sleep soundly and wake refreshed. Oh, how wonderfully happy I would be." The mountain spirit heard him, and to the stonecutter's utmost surprise, a voice from nowhere spoke out, "I hear your wish, and you will see, in a blink of an eye, a rich man you shall be." The stonecutter looked around but could see no one. He thought he must be overtired and imagined. Feeling despondent, he threw his tools into his cart and made his way to a small wooden hut he called home. When he reached the place, he could not believe what he was seeing. Instead of a small wooden hut, there was a huge, magnificent palace. The servant opened the door and let him in and showed him around. The rooms were wonderfully decorated, and there were wonderful paintings and works of art all around the house. There was fine and luxurious furniture in all of the rooms, but best of all, in the bedroom was a huge and splendid four-post bed. It had a mattress of the softest feathers and a bed cover of the finest and most gorgeous silk. It had curtains that went all around it, made of the most beautiful golden cloth with silver stars and moon. The stonecutter soon made himself at home and slept every night in his bed, waking up refreshed and feeling fit and happy. In his happiness, he soon forgot his old life as a stonecutter. One day in the early days of summer, the sun was so hot he could barely breathe. He decided to stay in his beautiful palace until the evening when it would become cooler. He soon started to become bored. You see, all his life, he had always worked all day and had never learned how to amuse himself when he was not working. For him, it had been work or rest, and he had no other interests or hobbies because he had no time in between. So while he kept inside the palace, he kept going room to room and peeping through the drawn curtains to see what was happening in the world. In one of his rooms, a window looked out onto a busy street, and peeping through the curtain, the stonecutter saw a richly carved and decorated open carriage drawn by two white horses pass by. The carriage was driven by a servant also dressed in a fine uniform of scarlet and gold. Seated within the carriage was a handsome prince dressed in the finest scarlet and gold robes the stonecutter had ever seen. Sat behind him was another servant dressed in the same finery, holding a golden umbrella, which he had opened out and was holding aloft to shade the prince from the fierce rays of the sun. He immediately grew envious of the prince, who was free to go wherever he pleased, protected by the golden umbrella from the rays of the sun. Oh, I wish I was a prince with a fine carriage and servants and a golden umbrella to protect me from the rays of the sun. Then I too could go out and about. Oh, how happy I should be, cried the stonecutter as the prince passed from the sight. Again, the mountain spirit heard him and answered, I hear your wish, and you will see in a blink of an eye, a prince with an umbrella and carriage you shall be. In an instant he found himself sat in a fine carriage with a company of servants to the fore and another to the rear. A servant sat behind him holding a golden umbrella, shielding him from the heat of the sun. It was exactly as his heart desired. For a while, he rode around the countryside in the carriage, shielded from the sun. He was very happy. But this began to subside as he grew dissatisfied. He also began to notice that despite him being in the shade of the umbrella, every day his face was growing ruddy and brown where it was still tanning him. One day he grew angry and cried out, The sun is stronger and mightier than I. I wish I was the sun, then I would be mightiest, and then, oh, how happy I should be. The mountain spirit heard him again and answered, I hear your wish, and you will see in a blink of an eye the sun you shall be. Instantly, the stonecutter found himself as the sun, looking down upon the earth and covering it with his golden rays. He saw the prince under the golden umbrella with brown and tanned face, and he was pleased. Then one day, a cloud floated between him and the earth. His most powerful rays were blocked by the cloud from reaching the earth, and he grew angry and cried, Oh, that cloud blocks my strongest rays. Is it mightier than I? Oh, I wish I was a cloud, then I would be the mightiest. Again, the mountain spirit heard him and answered, I hear your wish, and you will see in a blink of an eye, a cloud you shall be. In an instant, he was a cloud floating high above the earth, and he felt the sun's rays on his back, and he blocked them from reaching earth. He saw flowers blossom thanks to the rain he poured. The water flooded the land until only the mountain could be seen above it. He cried, Is this mountain mightier than I? Oh, if I was only the mountain, then I would be the mightiest. Once again, the mountain spirit heard him and answered, I hear your wish, and you will see in a blink of an eye, a mountain you shall be. In an instant, he was a mighty mountain, tall and proud, and could see for many miles all around him. He felt secure in his power and proud of his might, and for a while he was very happy. But his happiness did not last. One day he heard a strange noise down at his feet. Looking down, he could see a small tired man chipping away at the piece of his rock. The man was a stonecutter, cutting a slab of stone for some commission he had received. After chipping away for hours, a great slab of rock fell off him, and the stonecutter broke it up and loaded it into his cart and took it away. He grew angry and cried, "Is this small tired man mightier than a mountain? I wish I was a man." The mountain spirit heard him again and answered, "I hear your wish, and you will see in a blink of an eye, a man again you shall be." No sooner he said the words than he found himself sitting on a stone with hard and rough hands. He picked up his tools and set to work. He was happy and content at last, and he never heard the mountain spirit's voice again. Sometimes in life, all we see within us are flaws and shortcomings. The grass is always greener on the other side. Instead of wishing that you were someone else, learn to value who you already are and the qualities you already possess. That is the only key to lasting happiness. Contentment can only come from acceptance of what we already are. The stonecutter's desire to be something other than what he is results in dissatisfaction. Despite his wishes being granted repeatedly, he remains discontented, continuing to see his gratification existing in the next thing. If you accept who you are and continue to work on improving yourself, you will become a better version of yourself. You will start to attract all the goodness and success in your life. But if you spend the time looking at other people's life and constantly beat yourself up for not being them, you will never be in the right mindset to improve yourself. To work on yourself is the best thing you can do. Accept that you're not perfect, but you are enough. And then start working on everything that's part of you. Your insecurities, your ego, your dark thoughts, your goals, your dreams, your success. You will see in the end you're going to make peace with yourself. And that's the greatest thing in the world.